The sun was melting down behind the red desert mesas when Ella Marston rode her paint mare across the silent plain, dust swirling behind her, boots and the weight of the long day, pressing on her shoulders like a saddlebag full of stones. She had been tracking those stolen supply crates since dawn, the ones taken from Briar Creek's trading post by a gang bold enough to leave their footprints right through the sheriff's front porch, and every sign she followed. Broken twig, cut hoofprint, fresh ashes blown by the wind told her she was getting dangerously close to something she wasn't meant to see alone. Yet Ella had never been the type to step back when a trail grew thin or the dark stretched long, not since she was a girl watching her father, Jonah Marston, stare down outlaws twice, his size with nothing but a level voice and the moral weight of a man who believed the West didn't have to stay wild forever. Still, even her confidence cracked a little when she saw the lonely ranch house on the horizon, half swallowed by the earth like it was trying to hide itself. Roof caved on one end, chimneys sagging, and a single corral gate swinging back and forth in the wind like a warning. Her horse whinnied uneasily, and Ella murmured a hand to its mane. But the tension in the air was sharp, the kind that made the fine hairs on her arms lift. So she moved forward anyway, because people were counting on her, and because she was too stubborn to turn around after 11 hours in the saddle. When she reached the fence, she noticed the strangest thing, a massive saddle sitting upright on the ground, against a post, not on a horse, but resting as if someone had dropped it there deliberately, the leather still warm from sunlight. The cinch is new and its underframe, reinforced with metal that didn't belong to any ranch gear she'd ever seen. She dismounted slowly, scanning the empty windows of the ranch house, her hand drifting toward the revolver at her hip, her boots scraping the sand as she stepped nearer, when suddenly a voice emerged from behind her, deep, calm, heavy enough to freeze her breath in her throat, too big. "Just sit on it," the man said, and Ella spun around, gun half drawn before she recognized him. Buck Hollard, the reclusive rancher folks in town only mentioned in whispers, a man who seldom spoke but whose name made even seasoned riders sit up straight. He stepped out of the shadows of the barn, big as a mountain and dressed in dust-covered denim, his eyes calm but sharp as river flint. He nodded toward the giant saddle and said again, "Go on, sit. You'll see it clearer from there." Ella swallowed, uneasy because men didn't talk like that without meaning, something important or dangerous, and because the saddle itself seemed wrong. It was too broad, too tall, too reinforced, like it wasn't meant for a horse at all. Still, she kept her chin high, refusing to show nerves, and asked him what exactly she was supposed to see. Buck didn't blink, didn't shift, just pointed with one steady finger at the ground where the saddle rested and said, "You stepped right into the middle of something you don't understand, Ella Marston. And if you want to walk away with answers, you're going to need to trust me for about 3 seconds." His tone wasn't threatening, just final, the kind that carried the weight of a man who had spent too many years alone with truths too heavy to speak. Ella hesitated, her instincts tangled between her father's lessons. Never trust a quiet man with unknown motives, and the fact that Buck Hollard had saved 2 travelers from a flash flood last spring without asking for praise or payment. She tightened her grip on her revolver, but her curiosity, sharp and dangerous, pulled her toward the saddle. When she finally lowered herself onto the oversized seat, expecting nothing more than some vantage point or hidden clue, the earth beneath her shifted, not the surface, but the ground under the saddle itself, solid moments before, gave a sudden, metallic groan, and Ella's breath caught, as the entire plate beneath her sagged inward like a trapdoor barely holding its weight. She jerked upward, hands shooting for balance, her boot scraping the sand as she pushed off, but Buck moved faster, bracing the saddle with both arms as a hidden hatch. Beneath it threatened to collapse fully. Ella's heart slammed in her chest as she stepped back, realizing now why the saddle was built so big. It wasn't a saddle at all, but a cover, a disguised lid, hiding something dug deep into the earth. Buck dragged the heavy frame aside and, with a grunt, exposed the wooden trapdoor beneath it, the edges reinforced with iron and marked by chains that looked recently cut. Ella stared down at it, adrenaline flooding through her veins as she whispered, "What in God's name is this?" Buck wiped the dust from his hands, breathing slow but heavy, and answered, "Your outlaws didn't steal those supply crates because they needed food. They're digging under this land for something older, something worse. And you just walked right into the middle of the only thing keeping the entrance hidden." Ella stepped closer, heart thundering, as she realized the hatch wasn't just a cellar, it was a tunnel entrance, leading down into darkness carved by hands that weren't entirely careful or sane. Buck continued, voice low, "They're down there now. You came looking for stolen goods, but you're about to find the reason they stole them." Ella inhaled sharply, gripping her revolver as the first cold draft rose from the open hatch, carrying the scent of earth, gunpowder, and something she didn't want to name. And as the sun vanished behind the ridge and the sky darkened, she understood clearly. This wasn't a simple mission anymore, and if she wanted to make it out with answers, she'd need more than courage. She'd need backup, timing, and a steady hand. Buck looked at her, eyes narrowing with a grim kind of respect, and said, "If you're going down there, you'll want the truth before you step in the dark." Ella steadied her breath, nodded once, and prepared to descend into the hidden world beneath the ranch, knowing full well that viewers watching her journey would want to see where this trail led, and that the only way forward was to stay sharp, stay brave, and keep riding with her until the very end.